Welcome everyone, and thank you so much for joining us for this Weight Recorders and Assistance webinar this evening. It's almost Friday, hooray! My name is Maggie Thorison, and I'm the Wellness Manager for TOPS. And of course, I'm sure you all know retired TOPS President Barb Cady here with us tonight. So before we get started, I just want to touch on a few notes, a couple little housekeeping things. So one is that all of the lines are muted, but there will be time for questions after Barb's presentation. So if you're using your computer or another device where you can type in questions, you may go ahead and type those questions into the chat box there on your screen and send them over our way. And we will be sure to get to as many of those as we can at the end of the presentation. And then just so you know, any questions regarding forms or maybe TOPS policies on certain things are addressed in the Making Your Chapter Great chapter manual. So each chapter should have always have a copy on hand of the manual at the meeting, and any member may access a copy of the manual in the members area of the TOPS website, tops.org, right under the Popular Publications tab. And then secondly, please remember that you are always welcome to reach out to your TOPS area captain and coordinator. They are available to provide guidance and support, and they're always happy to help you out. And then last but not least, this webinar is being recorded, and it will be posted in the members area of the TOPS website, I would say within the next month or so. So Barb, what I'm going to go ahead and do is change the screen to you so that you can pull up your presentation, and then we will get underway. All right, Barb, take it away.
Fabulous. Thank you all for coming this evening. I really appreciate it. It's always fun to get to talk with you. I know that some of you have already attended some of the other webinars, the first for leaders and co-leaders with Rick, and then the second was on Tuesday evening for secretaries and treasurers with me. And I'm going to chat with you a little bit about the role of the weight recorder this evening. I'll run through a bunch of items first, and then I'll allow some time afterward for your questions, and we'll try to get to as many questions as we possibly can. So sit back, relax, and let me just sort of take it away here, and then we'll have an opportunity to have a nice chat afterwards. First of all, I want to thank you so much for agreeing to be the weight recorders and assistants of your chapters. This is probably the most sensitive position in a chapter. And as you know, we're all trying to make changes. We're all trying to better ourselves. We're all trying to stay motivated and on task. And sometimes life gets in the way and we don't do as well as we hope that we would. The chapter ourselves are always under construction. There's always an opportunity to grow and change within the chapter. And you sort of keep us all focused and on track. So with that in mind, I cannot tell you how grateful I am. And you'll see as we go on just what a big role you play in the team that makes up the officers of your chapter, as well as being an essential member of the group as well. First of all, when we look at the chapter, there are three basic things you need to think about. And the very first one is we're all members. No matter what role we may take on, all of us first and foremost are members. And I think all of you remember when you first attended your first TOPS meeting, what you were looking for. You were looking for somebody that understood your struggle to help and support you in the challenge of getting a handle on your weight and getting healthier as you went about your daily life. So with that in mind, we always need to remember that we're members dedicated to the mission of taking and keeping off pounds sensibly. Our chapters elect officers every July, and some officers are willing to serve for more than 1 year, and we're always grateful when that's the case. Some like to change out offices, and that's always nice because that gives you an opportunity to learn all the ins and out of the chapter. And then there are the people such as you who are the weight recorders and assistants who are appointed officers of the chapter. This is such a sensitive, important position that rather making it a vote, it's a consensus based on feedback from all the members to the leader to trust you with something that is very dear and very precious and very private, one's actual weight. That's a responsibility that I really appreciate you taking on. And then within the group as well, we have members who maybe are not holding an office who are volunteering for the many other positions in the chapter that help make the group run more smoothly. Some of you may volunteer to set up for the meeting. Some of you may volunteer to break down after the meeting. Some of you may volunteer to make coffee for the group or bring water for the group. Some of you may do programs and get people to sign up to take turns for programs. Some may like to do contests. There's always something within the group that everyone can take a turn and contribute in some important way. The chapter is all of us working together to be the very best we can possibly be. The meeting itself is key. And if you think about what you were looking for when you first joined the chapter, that's not changed through the years. People are still looking for the same basic things. They're looking for that moment of accountability every week when they come in, they step on the scales, and they find out how they've done. And they take ownership and responsibility for the choices they've made that week. That's really, really important within the framework of a TOPS chapter. No judgment, just to be accountable. Then they look for an opportunity to discuss with each other not only their successes, but also the challenge they may have had this week in staying focused and on task and working toward their target, whatever it might be. And they need ideas, help, tips, whatever from each other to help empower their journey for the week to come. And then they're looking for information. They want help. They want knowledge. They want to know exactly within this huge, huge field of millions of weight loss gags, gimmicks, and gizmos, what really is valid, what really is true, what really is accurate. And that's the responsibility of the chapter, to provide for each other tools that will be helpful, information that will be valid, education on nutrition and exercise within the framework of the group. And TOPS provides those things for us in our programs. There are always a couple in every TOPS news issue. There are lots of programs on our website as well. We even have them broken out into seasonal categories, and every member can access and look at these. And then if you're looking for something a little different, you can go to the Crames Medical Library that we also host, which has some very interesting topics. And you can look at our partner nonprofit organizations such as the American Heart Association, American Diabetes Association, and others similar to that will provide you with good, accurate information that has been vetted by professionals that we know is accurate and correct. It's really important to sort of steer away from some of the stuff that you can find on the internet that may just not be safe for every member. As a member, we are responsible for helping provide you with knowledge. You're responsible as well as members to take that knowledge and use it to help yourself Find a plan that works for you, to develop strategies that will be helpful for you, because each of us is on our own personal journey. What works best for me may not work best for you, and vice versa. So we use the knowledge to custom tailor a plan that works for us and is safe as evaluated by our healthcare professionals. Then we try to make a plan that we think will work to help us move forward in our journey. And then we take action. And that's probably the biggest responsibility of all of us as members, is to take some type of action. I think often of one of my sons who was going through high school, and it was during that particular period of time when boys don't like to study so much. And he had all the textbooks. He knew that he needed to come home and get his homework done after school so he could go and do things that he liked to do. And what he would do was take his textbooks and spread them out on his bed, and he'd lay on top of them. And I really think the boy thought that magically, by osmosis, all the knowledge in those books was going to seep through his pores into his brain. And we all know that's not going to happen. So we have to learn, and then we have to plan, and then we have to act. You have to get up off the couch and open the front door if you're going to go take a walk. You just can't sit there and think about it. You've got to take some type of action, and that's one of our responsibilities as members. The results are pretty obvious and pretty clear and easy to evaluate for us individually and for our group as a whole. Am I losing weight? Well, if I am, then that says I'm on task, I'm working my plan, the actions I've chosen to take are working. Sometimes we have to make adjustments. Sometimes we get stuck. Sometimes we need to change. We need to reevaluate. But the result will show once we find what works best for us. Is the chapter retaining people at goal weight? Do we have new people reaching goal weight? Do we have comps within our group? That's another marker of how successful we're doing, helping each other losing weight, because that's why we all came together in the first place, is to be able to successfully take off some pounds and keep them off. I think all of us have probably taken a few pounds off through the years. The trick is in keeping them off. That's such a challenge. And then from our success, are we bringing new people to our groups? That's another way that we know that we're doing well. My next door neighbor just the other day, I was out front raking leaves, and she came over and she said, "Barb, you look like you've lost some weight." And I grinned from ear to ear, and I said, "Well, yeah, I have lost some." And she said, "Well, what are you doing?" If you're successful just in living your life with the people around you, they will ask you questions and be attracted to what you're doing that has proven to be successful for you. Each of you, by the actions you take and the success you have, are TOPS ambassadors. You spread the word better than anybody else, and we can reach out into the community in which we live and help so many more people deal with the struggles of obesity and the comorbidities of the condition that we all suffer from. Obesity affects so many aspects of our health, and it also affects sometimes our well-being and our state of mind. So this is really important that we all work together to support each other. As a weight recorder and as an assistant specifically, here are some things I know that you are aware of and do on a regular basis. You need to be supportive of people when they come to be weighed. Sometimes people are apprehensive about getting on the scales. Maybe they're afraid that despite their very best efforts, they have not had as successful a week as they had hoped to be. Sometimes they're afraid because they know they have not been focused, that their weight is going to be up and they don't want to disappoint the group. And you need to support them and tell them that we want them there, especially at the times when they're struggling the most. Mrs. Manns always said, you can't help somebody if they don't show up at the meeting. And I think that's always true. You want people to feel this is a safe, secure environment in which they can get the help they need. And that means that you need to be empathetic. It goes beyond just being sympathetic. It goes to true understanding, walking in another man's moccasins, actually knowing what their struggle is and trying to help and support them work their way through it. And then constantly being supporting and encouraging. In those few minutes you spend together with each member in the weight room, you have so much that you're giving to make that member's experience a wonderful, positive experience. You may well be the person with whom they interact the most closely. So you need to be patient. Sometimes it's a little hard. You know, people want to say things and you have a line outside and you want to get through the weigh-in because there are time constraints. And so it takes real tact to be able to move a person through the weigh-in process without making them feel rushed or that you're impatient for them to move on. You need to be very accurate and write their weight down in front of them as they get weighed so they can see that you have recorded what their results for the week are accurately for them. That's truly essential for a member. And then you need to always be aware of how they're feeling about their progress. And excuse me just a second, I have a little tiny runny nose because I've had a little bit of a cold. Pardon me. So awareness is a gift that most weight recorders just seem to be born with. You can tell when somebody needs an extra pat on the back, a little bit more encouragement, a little bit more understanding. And that role is one that you fulfill in ways others aren't even going to notice. In addition, you track progress for everyone in the chapter, not just for the individual, but for the group as a whole. Every single week, your records show how we are all doing as a chapter, as well as how each of us is doing individually. You also are able to note non-scale victories for all of us, and that's so important. There is a new section on the website right now where you can go and get badges and certificates to print off for members for all kinds of non-scale victories. Things like keeping your food journal, for example, things like walking every day or doing some type of physical activity every day. There are lots of ways to celebrate all kinds of successes that go beyond a number on a scale. And if you're struggling, being able to celebrate those non-scale victories may encourage you enough to keep on task and not be tempted to overeat. And then you need to share with all of us every week how the group is doing and ask us as we are comfortable to share with each other how our personal progress is during the moment, during the meeting that we have roll call, and to perhaps discuss at that time what kind of help we may need or what worked really well for us so others might be encouraged as well. One of the things that's really important is to briefly chat with everyone about being ready to weigh before you enter the weight room. That helps the process go a lot more smoothly. You know, people should take off their jewelry, take off their shoes, if that's what they're doing before they enter the weight room. And we all know that once you come into the weight room, nothing else comes off. You know, there have been some reports from time to time that people wanted to take off pieces of clothing, but you're just fooling yourself if you think that that is helping you lose any weight at all. It's just the difference in the weight of the clothes. I know at my chapter, I tend to wear the same thing every week. That way I'm pretty assured that whatever the number is on the scale, it actually has to do with actual weight that I've lost. Also, you need to respect everyone's desire for privacy and make sure that there is no way that somebody else can see an individual's weight record or can see them as they step onto the scale to record their weight. Privacy is very important to almost every single member in a TOPS chapter. There's a very few people I know that just want that number to be displayed for the entire group to see. Always smile and welcome every member that comes into the weight room. Again, you know, sometimes they're a little bit hesitant, and how they are greeted makes a big difference with their weigh-in experience. Praise effort and accountability. You know, the hardest meeting to attend sometimes is one where you know that you may have a gain, and that's when you need to be encouraged the most to attend. And your ability to praise them for being willing to come in and face those scales is huge. Relay results for awards and contests. In some chapters, the weight recorder actually does these presentations. In other chapters, they have chairman of an awards and a group or a contest group that actually is responsible for distributing awards and prizes. However it works in your group, you're the record keeper, and you're the one that needs to relay the results as they are recorded by, you know, for the members. My chapter loves team contests, and so our weight recorders always kept busy giving results to the team captains. Weight recorders actually have a need, because of our recognition program, to be fully aware of the TOPS rules 14 through 33. These deal with our recognition program and how people qualify and how their honors are determined. So that is an essential tool that you need to have full knowledge of. They also need to study and be aware of the chapters 6 through 10 in Making My Chapter Great, the chapter manual. Chapter 6 is all about tracking individual progress and the group progress. 7 is about being a COPS and keeping off pounds sensibly. Chapter 8 deals with special circumstances such as pregnancy, such as members who are no longer to attend and are still wanting to feel like they're a part of the group. Medical excuses. There are quite an array of special circumstances because unexpected things happen in our lives. Chapter 9 deals with all the awards and recognition, particularly yearly awards and recognition, century awards for people who have lost and maintained the loss of 100 pounds for a year or more, becoming a COPS, becoming eligible to be chapter royalty and division winners. Those are all covered in there. In addition, in chapter 10 is directions on how to determine yearly award winners and send the resume of the members with their weight charts into the coordinator after the last weigh-in of the current year. So there is some information that you really need to be aware of. Very often in your area, you'll find that there's a special workshop just for you to go over these things and answer any questions and concerns that you might have. We also have a really nice video on our website that deals just with determining annual winners and preparing that resume that you might find interesting to view as well when that time of the year comes after Christmas and before January the 8th. Always ask questions. You aren't expected to know everything. We have field staff in place just to help you. So never be afraid to ask questions. Your area captain is there for you, as is your coordinator. They will all help you. You probably have fellow members that have been around for a while that may have good knowledge as well, and you can discuss things you're not certain of with them, and then call your field staff members to verify. Be patient with yourself. You've taken on an amazing responsibility for the good of the people within your chapter. And you're going to make a mistake every once in a while. All of us do. Don't beat yourself up. Just learn from it and move forward, and we'll all get through this together. You know, this is not to be stressful for you. This is, you know, you are our shining helper and our cheerleaders. So we need to nourish you and nurture you just as you take care of us. Be a lifelong learner. I think all of us need to be lifelong learners. That's essential. You know, we learn and grow as we move through our lives. My dad once said that if you don't learn a new thing every day, you need to sit down and think a little bit more, because we can never know everything. And that's true particularly when you've taken on something like being a weight recorder or an assistant. So in a nutshell, these are the essential things that we need to focus on in this position within our chapters. And at this time, Maggie, if you want to look at some of the questions that everybody has been sending today, I've been talking, I'll do my best to try to field a few.
All right, that sounds great. Can you hear me okay, Barb? I know we were having some audio issues at the beginning of the presentation.
You're clear as a bell.
Perfect. Okay, so Tina wants to know, when a COPS changes goal weight, do they only have 2 weeks to meet the new goal once they turn in their doctor's slip?
That's an interesting way to phrase that. When a COPS changes a goal, they have 2 weeks to be at or below the new goal. Now, many COPS, when they change goal, may already be at or below that new goal at the time. And let me give you an example. We have a COPS whose goal weight is 150, and her doctor has talked with her, and she's been doing really, really well. And he said, I really think a healthier weight for you would be 145. And they discuss it and how she's feeling, and she says, well, okay, I think I can do that. My advice would be to lose weight down to 145, because you can go 7 pounds below your leeway, or excuse me, 7 pounds below your current goal without any problem. And so when you have actually reached 145 or below, turn that goal slip in then, and you know, your goal is changed immediately that week. If, for example, she weighed 146 when she turned in the new goal, she would have 2 weeks to get off that extra pound, but she would need to get it off. And the trick here is that you need to remember, once a new goal slip has been turned in, you can't take it back.
All right, thank you. Next, we have another COPS question. This one's from Linda. Linda wants to know, if a COPS loses status, are there gains and losses recorded like a TOPS member on the resumes?
Yes, ma'am. That's an excellent question. And a COPS that becomes a COPS during the year, say in January you had not yet reached your goal and you reached your goal in July or whatever, then any weight loss you have from January through the end of the year, and it's important that you understand it's through the end of the year, your last weigh-in in December counts for or against the chapter.
All right, next we have a question from Deborah, who wants to know, this is a question about the chapter manual. Why does it state in the chapter manual that chapters can email their resume and weight charts to the coordinators? That would be a lot of paper that the coordinator would need to print out all the weight charts.
Some coordinators don't mind doing that. They feel, we live, not everybody lives near access to a post office. Some of us live out in pretty remote areas where winter gets really, really bad. And some of the storms, especially in parts of the Yukon territories, the Northwest territories, even in northern Ontario, Alaska particularly, if you're in the middle of a snowstorm, that may be your only choice, is to email your records to the coordinator in time for them to be counted for competition for the year. So that is an option we make available. I'm sure the coordinator loves it if you can mail everything in on time, but sending them electronically now in this modern age is a wonderful convenience.
And next we have a question from Faith, who wants to know, how many weigh-ins must a COPS do per year?
If a person started the year as a COPS and remains a COPS the entire 52 weeks, they need to record a minimum of 15 weigh-ins to maintain their COPS status. However, we certainly encourage COPS to attend much more often than 15 times because they are essential parts of the chapter. And every time a COPS comes to meeting, it reminds everyone else that the goal is achievable and success is possible. And they have so much to offer and so much help to give by their good example.
All right, I'm sorry, I had to unmute myself here. We have a question from Nancy, who wants to know, what do you do with a TOPS member's weight chart on the resume when they have passed away? Same question for COPS charts.
You just make a notation on the chart, deceased.
All right, and the next question. Okay, Lisa wants to know, I'm sorry if you can hear my dogs. Pardon?
Let me say one other thing, Maggie, before you ask your next question.
Oh, sure.
The chapter officers do not operate exclusively of each other. We all work as a team within our chapters. And when someone does pass away, it's always really helpful if the leader at the time would let the coordinator know the wishes of the family. Do they still want to receive her TOPS magazine? Do they not want to receive it? I mean, headquarters certainly doesn't want to be sending things out that are going to remind the family that the member is no longer with us. And so everyone needs to sort of get involved in what the process is when someone passes in our chapter. I'm sorry, Maggie.
No, that's okay. Next question is from Lisa, and Lisa wants to know, if a member gets to goal weight, then changes to a lower goal weight within the same year, will the yearly recognition go from highest weight to the lowest goal weight? So example, 174, then change to 160, will the total loss be to 160 for state queen? That's from Lisa.
That's covered in TOPS rules. It is from highest weight or original starting weight, whichever is the greater, to the weight, the goal weight that the member held in December. So they could change their goal maybe twice, within the course of a year if their doctor felt that was appropriate. Sometimes doctors really aren't sure exactly what they want us to weigh if we've been carrying extra pounds around for a while, and they just sort of want to wait and see what our health is like at a certain weight and then adjust if necessary. But you get up through the last goal recorded in December.
Okay, and next we have a question from Donna, who wants to know, during the leader webinar, Rick said people who lost weight without TOPS but now want support can join. What form do we use, a TOPS or a COPS for these people?
Well, that's going to depend on simply whether or not the individual brings in a goal slip. If the individual brings in a goal slip when that weight is reached, just like it would be for any other TOPS member, that person may become a COPS. If they do not bring in a goal slip, then they would just remain a TOPS member.
Okay,
and that's another thing with the weight recorder you might want to just jot down if you don't already know this. There is no requirement in TOPS for an individual to rush right out to their healthcare provider and get a gold slip right after they join. That can certainly wait until their next exam that is normally scheduled, or until the doctor is comfortable with the progress they're making and can do an updated evaluation.
Okay, and then our next question is from Lisa, who wants to know, what about members that don't show up for a long time? When do you mark that they've quit? Not clear unless they stop paying.
That's one of the things that your chapter should be able to clearly decide upon. As far as your weight chart is concerned, 4 absences in a row disqualify a member for weight loss recognition for the year. They're no longer eligible for yearly awards, and that means they would lose COP status as well if they had 4 unexcused absences in a row. A lot of chapters use those 4 unexcused absences to take them off the chapter weekly roll call and to no longer assess dues for them since they are now ineligible for awards. That's something your chapter needs to decide how they want to manage. The one thing I would recommend is that someone, whoever does it in your chapter, it could be the leader, it could be the secretary, it could be the co-leader. It's how you choose to divvy up responsibilities, should make every effort to contact this member and find out if there's some reason why they haven't been able to attend before you take any such action like that. I know we had a lady once that we did not know, and she had missed 3 weeks in a row, and our leader was frantically calling because we didn't know where she was, and we didn't know whether to mark her absent or not. And she had had a major fall and had broken her hip. And we would have felt terrible if we had not continued to reach out. And, when we finally out, we excused her until she could come back. And our chapter, and this again is something your chapter could decide if they chose by secret ballot vote, chose to waive her dues during the period she was recovering.
All right, and next we have a question from Kathy, who's asking, if you have a COPS that goes above their 3 pounds, sorry, my dog is loudly drinking water. If you have a COPS that goes above their 3 pounds, does their longevity restart from that date? It seems like if it does it negate all of the time they kept off the weight, especially if it's several years after they have been a COPS? Kathy.
Okay, I'm not really sure what the question is, so let me restate what I think you were asking, and then you can correct me if I'm wrong.
Okay.
What I think you're asking is if a COPS goes out of leeway, whether above or below goal doesn't really matter, and does not get back within goal within the required 2 weeks and loses status, and then at a later date reachieves goal and becomes a COPS again, what is done with their longevity? I think that's the question. Any partial year is lost. Like if the person was a COPS for 4 years and 3 months when they lost status, and then when they regain the status, their COPS status, they would get the 4 years back, and they would build a cumulative year 5, year 6, year 7. However, because they had lost status in there, this would not be consecutive years. They would be accumulated years. And the difference is important because TOPS gives an award for consecutive 5-year intervals, and they would have to start over at year 1 to earn the 5-year consecutive year award. If that isn't the question you asked, then please restate it and I'll try to do better.
Yep, Kathy, if you're still on the line, just let us know if that answered your question or not. And the next question we have is from Deborah, who asks, is it okay when goal weight is very high, i.e. a member has a goal weight from doctor of 185, member is 5'4"?
I am not that individual's doctor, nor are you, so we accept whatever the goal the doctor says is appropriate for their best health at the time.
Okay, and then the next question we have is from a different Deborah. If a member stops coming to meetings, leaves the group in the middle of a year, and you don't have a signed end-of-year summary sheet, is it okay to send that sheet in without the member's signature?
Absolutely. You don't have to go running around all over creation to get signatures from people that haven't been at meeting for 4 months. Just make sure that anyone that is eligible for any type of an award has signed their weight chart at the end of the year, and that all your COPS that are maintaining have signed their weight charts.
All right, and then the next question is from Linda. Linda wants to know, I have a COPS who is out of leeway and will probably be bringing in a new goal slip. Does he need to be at the new goal weight before he can turn it in?
A COPS cannot turn in a new goal when they're out of leeway. So if this individual, and I'm just going to take a guess here, maybe he's out of leeway below his 7-pound leeway. Maybe he has a goal slip that says 200 pounds and he's weighing in at 192, which is a pound under leeway. He can't present that new goal slip until he is back in leeway of his current goal.
Okay, and then next question. Bear with me 1 second. We're getting a lot of great questions.
It's okay. Now, bear in mind when I'm answering these questions, there are certain conditions that have to be considered, like if COPS is on a medical excuse, That's the reason why you need to read your TOPS rules and ask questions, because every individual question needs to be examined carefully, looking at the weight chart.
Okay, next question is from Lisa. So this is a two-part.
Lisa and Deborah must be sitting together.
Well, there's some different Lisas and some different Deborahs. But yes, should weight recorder note the highest weight recorded on resume? Sometimes it stays as the weight someone started at, then gain weight, and then it says, i.e. started at 150, a few months later 155, but the resume shows heaviest weight at 150.
Okay. The highest weight is defined, what we're talking about here is highest weight at renewal as recorded at TOPS Club Incorporated. You don't change the weight within the year as an individual's weight fluctuates. For example, let me use myself. I joined TOPS on July 31st. And weighed in. That was my original starting weight. Next year on July 31st, should I have gained above that weight? And when I was renewing, only on that renewal date could I claim that as my highest weight. I couldn't go back within the last 12 months and pick the one that was the highest in all those months. It has to be on the date of renewal.
Okay.
Otherwise, it would be a nightmare. People would be playing games all over the place.
And then the next question we have is from Lynette, who wants to know, is the resume online where the information can just be entered for a more professional appearance?
There is a version of the chapter resume online that you can download that is in Excel. And Maggie, I'm not sure, I don't have the website pulled up. I know the one in Excel does all the math calculations for you if you download it. I don't think the PDF version we have up there is a fillable PDF though.
I think you're right. I think it's just a plain
it's
PDF.
Just a form you have to print it out and write on it.
Correct. Yep. Yeah. And then there's the Excel version. And exactly. Both of those are available in the members area under Find a Form. And then you'll have to scroll a little bit, and then you'll see various forms for all of the officer positions.
Correct. Excellent question.
Right. Next question is from Carissa, who wants to know advice on how to handle a change from a balanced analog scale to a digital. We used to only count by quarter of pounds. Now it's by 0.1 increments.
Okay. The only thing you can do is just do it. It's simply a different way of doing the math. And for example, quite a few years ago, my chapter changed from a balance beam to a digital. And we did it within the year. And so the first part of the year, it was done with quarter pounds. And one lady, I remember, had a weight of 174 3/4, which translates to 174.75. And when we went over to digital, her last weight of the year was 162.3. And you just do the math. That's all. You just do the math. You enter what the scale reads.
And next we have a question regarding Division 9 members, so our members who have had weight loss surgery. This is from Grace, who wants to know, member with weight loss surgery, not effective anymore. Do you log their total weight loss from the time he or she joined TOPS, or just from when the surgery was not effective?
Okay, first of all, they have to bring in a slip from their healthcare professional that says, in fact, the surgery is no longer effective, and present it to the weight recorder. It is that weight on that date from which they are now eligible for all future awards within the other divisions and weight loss to goal for chapter royalty purposes.
Okay, we have another question from Lynette. Again, regarding the online version of the resume, although I think this one might be referring to the weight chart. Just correct me if I'm wrong, Lynette. On the same area, can I enter all the information on each member's weight, then print for them to sign? So, Lynette, I think you're talking about a weight chart online, which, Barb, I believe there is an Excel version of the weight chart.
There are Excel versions of all three charts, the TOPS chart, the COPS chart, and the transfer chart, available online. And again, those are set up so that the dates for each month will automatically populate once you put your first meeting date in. And it will also do the math for you for the TOPS and the transfer chart, I'm pretty sure, for year-end purposes. The only problem and the only concern I have here is if you're using an electronic version of the form, you need to be able to take that electronic version of the form to meeting so that you can enter the weight as the member weighs in, so that the member can see that you're actually entering the weight. Now, those of us that work with Excel know how to set up a workbook, so we could put all the weight charts in the workbook and do that every week. And but I'm not sure that every single person knows how to do that. And it's very dangerous to try to transfer weights that you've done at meeting on paper onto forms when you go home. You're just perhaps making the possibility of a typing error a little bit more likely in that situation. And sometimes a small error can make a big difference. So, just be very cautious when you're doing such things, because we say that the member has a right to see their weight recorded in front of them as they step on the scale. And perfect is not required. Accuracy is what we hope for and what we strive for. And if you write it on a chart and you need to cross through it and initial it and correct it, that's okay. That just shows you're being a very careful keeper of records. No whiteout, please.
The next question, the name is not popping up, but I think this might be Kathy again. Kind of a different question. If there are, wait, sorry about that. Are there any types of special incentives we can do for members who are greatly overweight?
Wow.
This could be, if I may step in.
Sure. Absolutely.
Barb, you had mentioned toward the beginning of the presentation about the new non-scale victory badges and certificates we have available. So as many of you know, we revised the My Day One booklet this past summer. It was included in the August-September issue. And we have in the members area of the website, right under where it says the skinny from TOPS on the right side of your screen, now a whole page dedicated to the new My Day One that includes the different programs and different kind of ways to incentivize members. I bring that up because, as Barb said, it is important to celebrate the non-scale victories too. So on there you can find little contests and suggestions on how to use the badges. but you can go ahead and print them out. What our workplace chapter just did was a co-leader printed out all of the badges, cut them up, and then laminated all of them. And we earned them for things like keeping a food journal, recording body measurements, clearing all the not so great foods out of our refrigerator or putting them out of sight. So it's a good way to help members maybe not get too hung up on the number on the scale, especially since sometimes you can be doing all the right things and it may not reflect that. But so just kind of a fun, different way to incentivize people. So we do want to recommend everyone check that out.
Absolutely. And as Maggie said, those are so nice to have, because people can get so frustrated when they reach a plateau and the numbers are just not changing and they're doing everything correctly.
Next, we have a question from Shirley, who wants to know, what happens if COPS loses status at year 6? Can they get 2 5-year consecutive awards?
No, that's a really excellent question. If a consecutive award is only awarded one time, so if you lose a status at year 6 and then you reachieve your goal, your next award will come when you're a 16-year COPS, and that will be your 10-year award as 10 consecutive years.
Okay, and we have a question changing up just a little bit. Artha wants to know, how do you handle older members' dues when they are snowbirds and leave for the winter? So this is a dues question.
Normally, well, what one does within the chapter is, if they are going to attend regularly a chapter wherever they are going for the winter and pay dues there, your chapter does not charge them dues during the period of time they are excused as a snowbird. Because to do otherwise would be to double charge them for dues at meetings where everyone knows they will not be while they are attending meetings elsewhere. And conversely, if you are a member in a warm climate and you go north for the hot summer months, the same applies. We actually refer to them now as seasonal members as opposed to snowbirds, because we have a lot of members in the South that come north to escape the heat in the hot summer months.
I would like to escape the cold right now. It's supposed to snow tonight.
Yeah, we're supposed to snow tonight too.
Ready. The next question is from Deborah. She wants to know, if a COPS attends meetings, must they weigh in or can they pass? Our COPS attends meetings but says she only needs to weigh in 13 times. Do we mark her as excused?
Okay, I am really glad you asked that question. It's a misconception of some COPS that they, and I'm going to use the word she said, only have to weigh in a fixed number of times. And she said 13, which is inaccurate. It's 15 times is the minimum number of weigh-ins to prevent loss of status. It's not that it's a good thing. And if this person wishes to attend meetings and not weigh in, then that person is marked absent on their weight chart. That's a TOPS rule. And if that person records 4 absences in a row, she will lose her COPS status. And no, your chapter does not excuse someone who is standing at the meeting but does not wish to weigh in.
Okay, I have a question from Tina, who wants to know if a copse changes goal weight from 154 to 153, are they out if weight is 153.4? Out of
Out of what? Oh, mercy goodness. Well, if a person wanted to change their weight that one little pound, she would be in leeway of 154 at 153.4, and she would have 2 weeks to lose that 0.4 pounds to reach her new goal.
And the next question, sorry, there's a lot of numbers here. So
You're testing me, aren't you, Maggie?
testing myself. We have a whiteout question.
Oh,
Speaking
goody.
of whiteout, Serena wants to know. I have been asked
about the whiteout queen. I was so glad when word processors came along, because I think I kept the whiteout business in place for years.
Well, Serena wants to know, I've been asked about scratches, whiteout, and crossouts on the weight charts. Some chapters use the Excel spreadsheet found on the TOPS website, which the weight charts are being transferred to, then printed out. My question is, years ago, whiteout was a no-no on weight charts. Is it okay to use whiteout on the weight charts for corrections, or should the mistake just be crossed out and written beside it?
I would prefer always to just cross it out, initial it, and make the correction beside it.
So you're not a whiteout fan?
Well, whiteout sometimes leads to not being able to write clearly the actual entry. You know, even some of the whiteout tape, it's a little bit slick, and your pen just doesn't make a clear, legible number.
That's true, and some of us have terrible, terrible handwriting. I'm speaking for myself.
Yeah, it's just not, well, I don't have the best handwriting either, especially the more time I spend with a computer. But it's just nice to actually show what's going on. We all make a mistake every once in a while, and there is just simply nothing wrong with marking through it and writing the correction.
Okay, the questions keep on coming in. And
okay, Maggie, let's go about, say maybe 5 more minutes, and then we'll wrap it up, because I don't want to just keep people dangling on.
Okay, that sounds good. This one is from Lee. Lee wants to know, if you renew online, there is no renewal weight. So what weight do you put on the individual weight chart?
Say again? I'm not sure what the question is.
If you renew online, there is
Right.
no renewal weight. So what weight do you put on the individual weight chart? Well,
whatever the member weighs at the meeting. Your weight chart records your weekly weigh-ins. You just put, if you're there, you put whatever you weigh that week. If you're not there, you put either an excused, an absence, or a no meeting. A person that renews online may not even be renewing on the meeting day. And there's no way that we can validate what the member might weigh at the time that they are actually renewing online, which is why it comes up as a 0, because we have no way of knowing what it is. So the two are not necessarily related in any meaningful way.
Right, and the weight charts and the resumes are still the basis for TOPS awards and recognition.
The weight chart is the basis for recognition on the resume in TOPS.
Okay.
what the member would need to do would be to bring to the chapter treasurer their receipt for renewing online to show that they had in fact renewed.
And Becky wants to know, and I think I know the answer to this. If a person loses their COP status and doesn't get back for 3 weeks, do they have to start over for consecutive weight loss?
Consecutive years maintained as a COP, yes. Consecutive weight loss is something some chapters do in the framework of their bylaws to encourage members to be consistent in their efforts. But that doesn't have anything to do with being a COPS.
Okay. Oh, Faith, I can answer one, Barb.
Ooh, yay.
I feel special.
You should be. You're a very good leader.
Oh, thank you, Barb. Faith wants to know, and it's just because I can plug my badges again that I'm excited. Faith wants to know, where are the badges on the website? Faith, those are, and everyone, in the members area. You log in, and then on the right side of the page, you'll see the Skinny from TOPS, and you'll see a page dedicated to the brand new My Day one, and you'll find them there. You'll also find them in the members area under TOPS News and Online Extras. You'll find them next to the October issue. So 2 spots where you can find the badges and the printable certificates.
Yeah, and they're really nice. We printed them out too, and we've been using them. Plug for Maggie.
Thank you, Barb. So we have a question from Ishbel, who wants to know, has there ever been a time when someone was asked to leave the position of weight recorder? And if such a time arises within a chapter, how should it be handled?
Oh my goodness gracious. Yes, there have been times when that has happened. Sometimes, I don't know any other way to say this than to say it this way. We've had some people that think the position is theirs by almost right of birth, because they've done it for so long. And the new leader may want to appoint someone else just to give that person experience in case something happened to the lady or gentleman who has been weight recorder for so long. And that is the right of a leader every year to appoint whomsoever they wish as the weight recorder. It's not a guaranteed reappointment every year. Sometimes a change needs to be made because people have disclosed information they should not have disclosed, and the leader has to be able to act clearly and effectively if that's the case. Sometimes people's health prevent them from coming regularly, and it's a burden to try to continue with the same weight recorder who cannot, physically attend regularly for health concerns. So yes, there have been times, and that is the leader's right because that she or he appoints the weight recorder. It's not an elected position, but it should. I would, if it were me and I had to do that, I would want to discuss it with my fellow officers so they were aware that this was the change that I felt needed to be made.
Okay, Barb, I think we have time. Let's go for 2 more questions. And
Sounds
everyone,
good.
if we don't get to your questions, it's not because they aren't important or aren't good questions. We just ran out of time. But you can always check either in the Making Your Great Chapter manual, contact your coordinator or area captain, or send us an email at wondering@tops.org. So Lisa is asking about the Century Club Award. And she wants to know, can you explain the Century Club Award and need for weight recorders' major role in following the form requirements so the member doesn't miss out on this amazing award? So are there special requirements for?
Yes, there are special requirements for the Century Club. First of all, this is a weight loss maintenance award for a weight loss of 100, 200, 300 pounds. We have 3 separate Century Awards. You must maintain whichever loss you're validating, whether it be 100, 200, or 300, for 52 consecutive weeks. That does not mean you have to weigh in each week, but you cannot record a weight within those 52 weeks that is less than the amount of weight you're trying to validate for. For example, if you had lost 103 pounds, you would have 3 pounds that you could sort of play around with or keep on losing more if you needed to. But if your weight loss dropped to 99.75 pounds, you would have to start that 52-week period over again. There is no leeway for this award, is what I'm basically saying. It has to be 100 plus pounds for the required period of time, or 200 plus pounds for the required period of time, etc.
Okay, last question, Barb. This is from Kimberly, who wants to know, do you use a doctor's note or BMI to determine goal weight for TOPS awards?
The BMI may be used for a member whose religion prevents them from seeking a goal from a healthcare professional.
All right, I think we didn't get to everything. I apologize, everyone, if we didn't get to your question.
Well, I thank everyone for being so patient. My goodness, you are still hanging in there with me. This is incredible.
You are, and actually, it looks like we have the same number of attendees that we did at the beginning, so thank you, everyone.
I know, I'm amazed.
We really, really appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedules and out of your time off in the evening to hang out with Barb and I and ask some great questions. We really appreciate all you do to serve your chapters, and we thank you for your time tonight, and we hope you found it helpful.
Absolutely, and it's always a pleasure to visit with you. Thank you for the excellent questions, and I hope all of us will continue to learn and grow, and I'll see you later.
Thanks, everyone, and remember that you'll be able to find this webinar and all the officer training webinars recorded in the members area under Be Involved. I would say within the next month or so you can check out anything you may have missed. Thanks again, everyone. Have a great night.
All right. Thank you, Maggie.
Thanks, Barb.
Bye,
Bye-bye.
everybody.